1. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is one of WWE's most exciting and unpredictable events, built around high-risk ladder matches where superstars fight to grab a briefcase that guarantees a world title shot anytime within a year. The concept debuted at 2005 at Wrestlemania, but got its own dedicated event in 2010, and has delivered chaos and career-defining moments ever since. From The Miz winning in 2010 and cashing in on Randy Orton to claim his first WWE title, to Seth Rollins stealing the show in 2014's MITV match and later using that momentum to cement his top-tier status, the pay-per-view has become a true proving ground. Seth Rollins also pulled off the most shocking cash-in in history at WrestleMania 31, turning Lesnar vs. Reigns into a triple threat and stealing the WWE title. The women's version began in 2017, though controversy hit immediately when James Ellsworth grabbed the briefcase for Carmella, forcing WWE to redo the match live on SmackDown. Big E, Liv Morgan, and Damian Priest are just a few recent winners who used their briefcases smartly, keeping the legacy of this event alive as a game-changer in WWE careers. 2. Extreme Rules. This one's for fans who miss the hardcore era. Extreme Rules is where the usual limitations vanish and chaos takes over. Inspired by the old ECW brand, the pay-per-view embraces weapons, street fights, and stipulations that would be outlawed on regular programming. Since becoming a solo event in 2009, it's hosted some violent classics. John Cena vs. Brock Lesnar in 2012 felt more like a UFC fight than a wrestling match, with Lesnar busting Cena open early in his brutal return. Roman Reigns and AJ Styles went to war in 2016, with chairs and tables flying everywhere, and matches like Seth Rollins vs. Rey Mysterio in an eye-for-an-eye bout. Yeah, it involved a fake eye popping out, and kept the tone unpredictable. The last Extreme Rules event was held in 2022, but we're pretty sure it'll make a comeback soon. 3. Elimination Chamber. The Elimination Chamber takes place just before WrestleMania, making it a major pay-per-view for story build-up. The match was created by Triple H and introduced by Eric Bischoff in November 2002. It features a large, chain-linked circular steel structure which encloses the ring. Spun off into its own pay-per-view in 2010, the Elimination Chamber features 6 competitors locked inside a massive circular cage with bulletproof pods. 2 start the match, with the rest entering at timed intervals, turning it into controlled chaos. John Cena won the first ever chamber match at the pay-per-view, and he also holds the record with 3 separate wins. The Elimination Chamber match has been used to crown champions, determine WrestleMania contenders, and shake up title scenes. In 2017, Bray Wyatt shocked fans by winning the WWE Championship inside the structure, and in 2019, Kofi Kingston's underdog performance turned him into a main eventer. In 2018, the first Women's Elimination Chamber match took place in Nevada, where Alexa Bliss retained her Women's Championship. And in 2020, Shayna Baszler created history by eliminating every single one of her opponents. It's one of WWE's most unforgiving pay-per-views that is known to break bodies and records alike. 4. TLC. TLC, short for Table, Ladders, and Chairs, is basically a stunt show disguised as a wrestling event. Born from the brutal ladder wars between the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian, it became a standalone pay-per-view in 2009. Every year, superstars throw caution out the window and smash each other through tables, leap off ladders, and swing chairs like weapons. The Shield vs. Team Hell No and Ryback in 2012 is still considered one of the most insane matches ever. Also, Sheamus's win over Cena for the WWE Championship in 2009 gave him a major push, turning him into a dominant figure for the years to come. CM Punk, The Miz, and Dolph Ziggler have all had career-defining wins here, especially in title matches. Becky Lynch, Asuka, and Charlotte tore the house down in the first ever women's TLC main event in 2018, with Ronda Rousey interfering to keep things messy. It's that pay-per-view which always keeps fans on the edge and reminds them of the Attitude Era, where everything was legal. The last TLC event was held in 2020 before it was replaced by WWE Day 1. 5. Payback. Payback is all about revenge. This pay-per-view is where grudges get settled and receipts are handed out. First launched in 2013, it quickly carved out its identity as a show where bad blood reaches its boiling point. It may not have the gimmick flair of ladder matches or cages, but what it lacks in stunts, it makes up for with intensity and storytelling. One of the most memorable moments came in 2015, when Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Randy Orton clashed in a fatal four-way match that felt like a Shield reunion tease. Also, Braun Strowman absolutely destroyed Roman Reigns in the 2017 edition, showing the world that he was main event caliber. In 2014, we had an Evolution reunion where they faced off against the Shield in a no-holds-barred elimination tag team match. But the reunion went horribly wrong as the Shield ended up winning in a clean sweep. 6. Clash of Champions. Clash of Champions is simple. Every title must be defended. First launched in 2016 as a Raw exclusive pay-per-view, this event revived an old WCW concept with a modern twist. It guarantees high-stakes action all night long because literally every championship is on the line. No title holder can hide, and no championship is safe. The event has delivered big title changes and shockers, like when Sami Zayn returned in 2020 and used handcuffs to reclaim the Intercontinental title in a chaotic ladder match. Roman Reigns also defended his newly won Universal Championship in 2020 against Jey Uso, making the emotional start of his Tribal Chief saga. One of the best things about Clash of Champions is how the mid-card titles like the United States or Intercontinental belts get just as much spotlight as the world titles. You'll often see underdogs shine, or feuds that usually stay buried on weekly TV suddenly feeling much bigger. It's a night where champions rise or fall, and where hungry challengers finally get their shot. The last Clash of Champions pay-per-view was held in 2020, before eventually being replaced by the iconic Night of Champions. 7. Great Balls of Fire. Yep, that name is real, and no, fans have never stopped roasting it. Introduced in 2017 as a Raw exclusive pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire only happened once, but it's weirdly fondly remembered. The name, a throwback to the Jerry Lee Lewis song, had fans scratching their heads, but the actual show delivered big. The main event featured a hard-hitting match between Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe for the Universal title. Joe looked like a legitimate threat, taking the fight to Lesnar in one of his best main roster performances. But in the end, one devastating F5 was all it took for Lesnar to win the match and retain his Universal title. Elsewhere, Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns beat the life out of each other in an ambulance match that ended with Roman literally crashing the ambulance with Braun inside. It was pure chaos. The Cruiserweights had a surprisingly good match, and overall the event just clicked. Great Balls of Fire became a one-hit wonder for WWE. Ridiculous name, solid card, and a reminder that even the strangest sounding show can deliver when the booking and talent click. 8. Clash at the Castle. Introduced in 2022, Clash at the Castle was the first time a WWE was holding a pay-per-view in the UK in 30 long years. The last one was Summerslam back in 1992, so it was a pretty big deal for the British fans. Clash at the Castle was held at Cardiff, Wales, and a massive crowd of 60,000 turned up, proving that there's a huge market for WWE outside North America. The show featured Drew McIntyre challenging Roman Reigns in front of a wildly supportive home crowd. The match had a big fight feel, even including a surprise appearance from Tyson Fury after the main event. Despite McIntyre's loss, the atmosphere was absolutely electric, and the match itself was top-notch. In 2024, the event once again returned to the UK, this time in Glasgow. It featured the brutal I Quit match between the champion Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles, which ended with Styles ultimately tapping out after being handcuffed. Now shortened to just Clash, the 2025 edition is set to take place in Paris. WWE made history by finally investing in global stadium shows again, and Clash at the Castle paved the way for future international PLEs. Its success helped prove that WWE doesn't need to stay tied to American venues to deliver blockbuster moments. 9. Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble is one of WWE's most famous yearly pay-per-views, known for the signature 30-man over-the-top rope battle royale. The match starts with two wrestlers in the ring, and every 90 seconds or so, another competitor enters until all 30 have joined. The winner gets a guaranteed world title shot at Wrestlemania, which adds high stakes. This is probably the most anticipated match of the year, because it's famous for shocking returns, like Edge returning in 2010 and 2021 and winning the whole damn thing. And who can forget that 2002 win for Triple H after he had torn his quadriceps just 8 months earlier? The Royal Rumble is also famous for shocking eliminations, like Maven taking out The Undertaker in 2002, Shawn Michaels eliminating both Vader and Yokozuna at once in 1996, and Stone Cold being eliminated by Bret Hart in 1997, only to sneak back inside and win the entire thing anyway. Stone Cold holds the record for 3 separate wins, while Kane has the most career eliminations at a staggering 46. Since 2018, WWE has added a Women's Royal Rumble with the same 30-woman format. Outside the Battle Royale, Royal Rumble pay-per-views usually have major title defenses and intense rivalries. Royal Rumble sets the tone for WWE's biggest storylines, making it a must-watch every January. 10. Summerslam. Summerslam is WWE's biggest party of the summer, and usually the second most hyped show after Wrestlemania. It all began in 1988 with one hell of a main event, which featured Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage going up against Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant in a colossal tag team match. Since then, SummerSlam has delivered some iconic matches, like the Bret Hart vs. British Bulldog bout at Wembley in 1992. Brock Lesnar made his name here in 2002 by beating The Rock for the Undisputed Championship. In 2013, Daniel Bryan beat John Cena clean in the main event, only for Triple H and Randy Orton to immediately screw him over and kick off the Yes Movement. Also, SummerSlam 2000 was the inception of the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs match, where the Hardy Boys, the Dudleys, and Christian and Edge took on each other in a brutal match. In 2014, Brock Lesnar took Cena to Suplex City with 16 German suplexes, turning the match into one of the most lopsided matches ever. Some years it's been held in Brooklyn, some in Vegas, and it's even going international soon. The SummerSlam is truly the biggest party of the summer for wrestling fans. 11. Day 1. WWE wanted to kick off the new year with a bang, so they decided to have this brand new pay-per-view on January 1st called Day 1. The main event featured a crazy fatal 5-way match for the WWE title, with Big E going up against Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. After a lot of back and forth, Lesnar ended up winning the title by pinning the champion Big E with the help of a brutal F5. The event also saw Edge defeating The Miz and Becky Lynch defeating Liv Morgan. Day 1 tried to mix established stars with fresh faces to start the year strong. While it's only been held twice so far, Day 1 has featured fast-paced matches and high-profile storylines, usually involving the world titles. 12. Backlash. Backlash has been WWE's go-to pay-per-view for settling scores and continuing big storylines from WrestleMania. It first appeared in 1999 and has bounced around WWE's schedule and branding, sometimes Raw exclusive, sometimes SmackDown, and sometimes a dual-brand event. The concept? Wrestlers facing off in rematches or blow-off bouts after the chaos of WrestleMania. The 2000 Backlash saw The Rock and Triple H in a brutal match for the WWF title that helped close their epic feud. Similarly, in 2002, The Undertaker defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin to win the WWE Undisputed Championship. The 2007 edition's main event saw John Cena beat Edge, Shawn Michaels, and Randy Orton in a fatal 4-way match to retain his WWE Championship, and most recently in 2020, Drew McIntyre shocked the world by beating Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. 13. Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell is one of WWE's most brutal and feared pay-per-views. Named for its signature match type, a massive roofed steel cage surrounding the ring and ringside area, it guarantees high drama and intense violence. The match was first introduced in 1997, and the pay-per-view launched in 2009 as a showcase for these savage bouts. Hell in a Cell matches have produced some of WWE's most unforgettable moments, like Mick Foley's legendary fall off the top of the cage against The Undertaker in 1998. The 2014 Hell in a Cell pay-per-view saw Seth Rollins retain his WWE Championship against Dean Ambrose in a brutal, bloody fight. In 2013, Randy Orton beat Daniel Bryan after the special guest referee Shawn Michaels knocked Bryan out with the sweet chin music. In 2016, the first Hell in a Cell women's match was held, and boy did it deliver. Charlotte Flair ended up beating Sasha Banks in one of the most chaotic matches ever. The event usually features rivalries that have boiled over to the point of no return, often ending in violent fashion. 14. Survivor Series. Survivor Series has always been one of WWE's Big Four events, and stands out because of its classic elimination style matches. It was first launched in 1987, featuring Team Hulk Hogan versus Team Andre the Giant. The match was electric from start to finish, and it was the first time a tag team elimination match was enforced. Over the years, though, it evolved beyond just team warfare, and became the stage for some wild brand rivalries, dream matches, and major storyline twists. In 1997, the infamous Montreal Screwjob went down at Survivor Series, where Vince McMahon controversially called for the bell during Bret Hart's match against Shawn Michaels, changing WWE forever. The event also introduced us to The Undertaker in 1990 and The Shield in 2012. In recent years, Survivor Series has become popular for the Raw vs. SmackDown rivalries, which is played out in its classic elimination style. Raw has won 7 of those matches, while SmackDown just 2. There have also been some classic women's brand versus brand matches, like the one in 2008, where Beth Phoenix emerged as a sole survivor for Team Raw. In 2019, WWE added NXT into the mix, making it 3 brands facing each other. But to everyone's surprise, NXT not only won, they dominated each and every match they participated in. Apart from this, matches like Brock Lesnar vs. AJ Styles in 2017 and Roman Reigns vs. Big E in 2021 gave it some serious star power. 15. King of the Ring. King of the Ring has been a staple since the 1980s, and was traditionally a tournament rather than a full pay-per-view event. The tournament crowned a king, who would get a gimmick and a push, often propelling mid-carders into the main event spotlight. The first ever edition was held in 1993, where Bret Hart pinned Razor Ramon to be crowned the king. In 1996, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Jake Roberts and delivered his iconic 316 promo that propelled him to cult status. 2024 saw the name of the pay-per-view change to King and Queen of the Ring to promote women's wrestling. They had a similar styled competition for the women's division, where Nia Jax emerged victorious. The event was a regular part of the calendar in the 90s, but it's been used rather sporadically ever since then. The 2019 tournament was held on Raw and SmackDown, with Baron Corbin winning and adopting a king persona, complete with a crown and scepter. 16. WrestleMania. WrestleMania is WWE's biggest show of the year, and often called the grandest stage of them all. It's that night where legends return, celebrities get involved, and WWE throws everything they've got into the mix. The first WrestleMania happened in 1985 at Madison Square Garden, and since then, it has become an annual pop culture event that attracts millions of viewers across the globe. Over the years, WrestleMania has been the site of some of wrestling's most iconic moments. Hulk Hogan body-slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 is still one of the most replayed clips in wrestling history. The Streak, where The Undertaker won 21 straight WrestleMania matches before finally losing to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30, became a storyline of its own. Stone Cold Steve Austin vs. The Rock had 3 WrestleMania clashes, with the one at WrestleMania 17 widely considered one of the best main events ever. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker delivered back-to-back classics at WrestleMania 25 and 26, with the latter being HBK's retirement match. WrestleMania 28 had a once-in-a-lifetime match between The Rock and John Cena, which became so successful they did it again the next year. Daniel Bryan's underdog story peaked at WrestleMania 30 when he beat Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista in one night to win the WWE title. More recently, WrestleMania 35 saw the first ever women's main event featuring Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair. WrestleMania 38 gave us Steve Austin's in-ring return, and WrestleMania 39 saw Roman Reigns continue his dominant title run. Simply put, if something huge is going to happen in WWE, chances are it happens at WrestleMania. 17. Judgment Day. Judgment Day originally debuted in October 1998 under the In Your House branding, with the headline match being The Undertaker vs. Kane, in a match for the vacant WWF Championship. That show ended with Steve Austin refusing to count a pinfall, causing chaos and setting up future storylines. The event returned in 2000 as a full-scale pay-per-view and became WWE's go-to main event for nearly a decade. The 2000 edition featured a 60-minute Iron Man match between The Rock and Triple H, with Shawn Michaels as guest referee, making it one of the most ambitious main events of the Attitude Era. Judgment Day 2004 saw JBL debut his new persona and nearly defeat Eddie Guerrero for the WWE Championship, in a match remembered for excessive blood loss by Guerrero. While it was quietly discontinued after 2009 to make way for newer concepts, the Judgment Day name lives on as a faction led by Finn Balor. 18. Bad Blood. Bad Blood was a short-lived but historically significant WWE pay-per-view. Its first event in October 1997, titled Bad Blood in Your House, took place at the Kiel Center in St. Louis. The show is legendary for introducing the Hell in a Cell match, which debuted in the main event between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Not only was the match an instant classic, but it also featured the shocking debut of Kane, who ripped the cell door off its hinges and attacked his own brother, changing WWE's storytelling forever. After that first show, Bad Blood disappeared for a few years before returning in 2003 and 2004 as a standalone June pay-per-view exclusive to the Raw brand. Both events were headlined by Hell in a Cell matches. In 2003, Triple H defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Kevin Nash, with Mick Foley as special referee. In 2004, Triple H again main evented, this time defeating Shawn Michaels in a brutal 45-minute war that is still considered one of their best. 19. Unforgiven. Unforgiven debuted in 1998, right after WrestleMania 14, and stayed pretty consistent through the years as the September pay-per-view that dealt with the fallout from SummerSlam. The first show had the first ever Inferno match between The Undertaker and Kane, which was bonkers for the time. Unforgiven 2002 was full of attitude shift energy, with Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker for the WWE title ending in a no contest because they absolutely destroyed each other. 2006 was an underrated banger, with Edge defending the WWE title against Cena in a TLC match in Toronto, which had the crowd split in insane spots throughout. That same night, DX took on Vince and Shane McMahon plus Big Show inside Hell in a Cell, and it was peak Attitude Era nostalgia in 2006 form. It also saw some mid-card classics like Hardy vs. Nitro, and Trish Stratus retiring as champion. The pay-per-view was consistent until 2008, when WWE tried the championship scramble concept. Some loved it, others hated it. By 2009, the event was retired and replaced, but Unforgiven had a solid run full of big fights and career-defending moments. 20. No Mercy. The 1999 edition of No Mercy had the famous ladder match between the Hardys and Edge and Christian, which basically put tag team ladder matches on the map. No Mercy 2002 had Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell that was absolute carnage and is still praised as one of the most brutal cell matches ever. The brand split era saw No Mercy become a SmackDown staple, giving us classics like Angle vs. Big Show in 2004 and Eddie Guerrero vs. Batista in 2005, which was emotional and technical. In 2007, the pay-per-view went off the rails when Cena got injured days before the show. Vince stripped him of the title, and Randy Orton was awarded it only to lose it to Triple H, who then defended it, and Orton won it back later that night. Total chaos. The 2016 reboot delivered big too, with AJ Styles versus Cena versus Ambrose in a triple threat. And Ziggler's career versus Miz's IC title feud was peak storytelling. No Mercy never got the spotlight of Mania or SummerSlam, but it quietly delivered bangers every year. 21. No Way Out. No Way Out started as a one-off in 1998 as a tag-heavy card, but returned in 2000 and found its groove. One of the most famous editions was 2004, where Eddie Guerrero beat Brock Lesnar in a dream-come-true moment that still hits hard. That match had Goldberg interference, chaos, and one of the biggest underdog wins ever. In 2001, Austin and Triple H had their 3 stages of Hell match, a violent masterpiece that ended their long rivalry. During the Ruthless Aggression era, No Way Out was usually where WrestleMania main events got locked in. The 2008 version had 2 Elimination Chamber matches, which became a regular feature from then on. In 2009, Edge lost 1 title in the first Chamber match, then forced his way into the second one and won that. Total madness! That event was eventually replaced by Elimination Chamber, but for nearly a decade, No Way Out meant one thing: no escape from the WrestleMania hype train. It was where dreams got crushed or confirmed. Sometimes both. 22. Armageddon. Armageddon was WWE's go-to December pay-per-view for years, typically closing out the year with chaos. The 2000 edition stands out for that insane 6-man Hell in a Cell where Kurt Angle somehow retained the WWE title against The Rock, Austin, Undertaker, Triple H, and Rikishi. Another classic came in 2002, when Triple H and Shawn Michaels went to war in a 3 stages of Hell match. It was violent, dramatic, and vintage early 2000s storytelling. The brand split era saw Armageddon host SmackDown exclusive cards, like the underrated 2006 show where Batista and Cena teamed up, and the MVP versus Benoit rivalry quietly stole the show. By the late 2000s, it became a launch pad for Royal Rumble season. After 2008, the event got dropped, but for nearly a decade, it was the pay-per-view where grudges ended and bodies got wrecked right before the new year. 23. The Great American Bash. The Great American Bash has a long, rich history that started in the NWA and WCW days, but WWE picked it up in 2004 when they revived it as a summer pay-per-view. It was always about delivering classic big fight matches during the summer lull. The 2004 event saw JBL and Eddie Guerrero face off in a deadly Texas bull rope match where JBL ended up winning. In the same edition, The Undertaker defeated the Dudley Boys in a bizarre handicap concrete crypt match. In 2006, Batista defended the World Heavyweight Championship against King Booker in a classic feud. In 2008, Chris Jericho defeated Shawn Michaels by a technical knockout, while Triple defeated Edge via pinfall. WWE retired it in 2009 for flashier pay-per-views, but it has been running again since 2020 as an exclusive pay-per-view for NXT talents. 24. Invasion. In 2001, WWE decided to run wild with one of the biggest fantasy scenarios in wrestling. What if WCW and ECW joined forces to take down Vince McMahon's empire? The result was Invasion, a pay-per-view that capitalized on the real-life collapse of WCW and ECW. Instead of slowly building up stars from the acquired rosters, WWE rushed straight into the chaos by forming the Alliance, a group made up of WCW and ECW talents. Most of WCW's top names like Goldberg, Hogan, and Sting weren't around due to contract issues, so the big battles were often WWE guys facing other WWE guys in different shirts. Still, it had its moments. The main event at Invasion featured a massive 10-man tag match: Austin, Angle, Jericho, Undertaker, and Kane versus Booker T, DDP, Rhino, and the Dudley Boys. Austin's heel turn in that match added even more confusion to a storyline that was already doing too much. Despite the weird booking, the event pulled in over 770,000 buys, one of WWE's biggest ever. 25. Taboo Tuesday. Taboo Tuesday was one of WWE's weirdest experiments. Held on a Tuesday night in 2004 and 2005 before becoming Cyber Sunday, the show was built entirely around fan interaction. Viewers could vote online for match types, opponents, stipulations, and even referees. It was ambitious for its time, considering how limited online access still was for many fans. But WWE went all in, hyping the "you control the show" angle hard. The first show had a lot of promise. Shawn Michaels getting voted in to face Triple H for the world title, which led to a surprisingly solid match despite Michaels wrestling with a legit knee injury. Other matches were more hit or miss, with some votes clearly manipulated or very predictable. Once it moved to Sundays as Cyber Sunday, the concept stuck around a little longer, but it never hit the same curiosity level as the original Tuesday Night Chaos. 26. One Night Stand. For one night in 2005, WWE brought back the extreme vibe of the original ECW with the original roster, commentary, and chaos. Paul Heyman booked it like a love letter to the ECW faithful, and the crowd inside the Hammerstein Ballroom was rabid from start to finish. Matches like Lance Storm vs. Chris Jericho opened the card with respect, while later bouts like Mike Awesome vs. Masato Tanaka went off the rails with brutal chair shots and broken tables. The night ended with a full-scale brawl, as WWE invaders like JBL and Edge showed up, only to get wrecked by the ECW crew. Heyman's promo to the crowd, taking jabs at WWE and hyping up his roster, was pure fire. One Night Stand succeeded because it didn't try to turn ECW into WWE Light. It let ECW be what it was: violent, unpredictable, and authentic. It was so successful they brought it back the next year, though with more WWE involvement. 27. Vengeance. Vengeance debuted in 2001, replacing Armageddon that year due to the sensitive post-9/11 climate, but it didn't come in quietly. This was the night where WWE crowned the first ever undisputed champion. With the Monday Night Wars over and WCW gone, it was time to unify the WWF and WCW titles. The tournament had matches like The Rock vs. Chris Jericho and Stone Cold vs. Kurt Angle, with the winners facing off in the final. In a shocking turn of events, the underdog Chris Jericho did the unthinkable by beating both Rock and Steve Austin in the same night. This made him the first undisputed champion in WWE history, a feat he still brags about to this day. The result was especially shocking because Austin was the ultimate face of the company and he would rarely lose matches. After that, Vengeance became a regular card in the WWE calendar. In the 2005 edition, Batista beat Triple H in a highly emotional Hell in a Cell match to become the World Heavyweight Champion for the first time. In 2011, Alberto Del Rio beat John Cena in a brutal last man standing match for the WWE title. Since 2021, it has been rebranded as Vengeance Day and is used mostly for NXT superstars.